Hello and welcome to Chick Chat and Chill. We are here to answer one of the most important questions that people ask. Why are we here on this planet? Like, what's our purpose? What are we doing here? So stay tuned. Welcome back to Chick Chat and Chill. I am Laura Fickett, your co-host. I own Fickett Financial Education and Business Coaching, where I love to help people make more money and be wealthy. If you want to have a conversation about how to increase your finances and increase your wealth, I would love to talk to you. Reach out to me and we'll do a free one, and we'll see what we can do to get things moving. But before we get into our topic, let's introduce Antoinette.
Hello. So I'm Antoinette. I'm the owner of Pixel This. So does your logo look like crap? I mean, did your ad give you any customer base? Like, if you don't know these things, call me and we'll figure it out. I see so many people that they'll quickly, they're starting a company. They quickly get this like, oh, I'll do this logo, and it's terrible. It's a disconnect to the product they're doing, and it's really holding them back. Or something as simple as your messaging, like your voice, it's your personality. It's what you put out there. So it's very important.
I can't believe she sits here and talks about me to my face like this. I'm just kidding.
We're not saying no. But anyways, but the thing is, so today we're talking about purpose, and there's definitely, I think that's something that so many people struggle with, and I feel like they flop around through life, like not really knowing where to go or what to do. And I think that's a big cause of like depression and stuff like that. If they don't have a calling, or they don't have a true something that they live for, or something important in their life that they understand in their soul to be true and important,
Yeah, I know. So like 2 weeks ago I was in church, and I don't know, I just had this thought, like, what are we doing here? I'm thinking like, so I said, I'm like, God, like, why did you create all this? Are we all some sort of like Monopoly game for you? Like, what's the deal? Like, what are we doing here? And so my son Christian was sitting next to me on my right, and like the message I got in my head was like, well, why did you want to create your son? And so I thought, well, because like I love him, I want to have a relationship with him, I want to do things with him, I want him to I want to show him experiences, and have him celebrate like love and joy and all that kind of stuff. Like I want all that for him. And the thought I got in my head, whether it's from God or not, like I believe it was from God, is, well, that's why I created you. And so like I just got chills like even thinking about it. So I thought like the purpose, that the reason why God created all of this, and why he wants to have a relationship, is because you want to have a relationship with your kid. You want to experience love like unconditionally with your child. You want to, you want to see the joy on their faces when they go and do things. And that's what God did. Like he created all of us so that he could have a relationship with us, so that he could, experience joy with us. I don't know, maybe before he created all of us, he was just bored. Like, it's like, I'm all by myself in the universe. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe I'll ask him next time. Like, for some reason, I feel like when I'm in church, like, I feel like Satan can't enter there. And so, like, the communication flows faster. It flows in other places, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But, like, maybe he was bored. And so he wanted people in his life, Like, when I got married, like, I wanted, I came from a family of 7. I wanted to have kids in my life, and I wanted to create them so that I love like watching them do new things or experience, life, what life has to offer. So, maybe the purpose is just that, like what God talks about in the Bible is to love everyone.
Yeah.
Like that's our purpose, and to spread his word so that we can all love each other.
Yeah. I think ultimately and that's something that's echoed in the Bible a lot of, just to sit there and like be able to quote from the Bible, or to, all this stuff. Like you have to know him. Like if you get up there and you have no relationship with him, what good is it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, think about it. If you don't have any relationship with your parents, you don't know anything about them. There's plenty of people out there like that, but the people that do have relationship with their parents, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, it's your heavenly Father.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's huge. I also think too that we're each of us he's gifted us with a bunch of different unique abilities and divine uh like he gives divine intervention of people who cross our paths and stuff like that. Like there's truly no coincidences. So there is things that he can use our screw ups for good and stuff like that. So I think it's more than just having a relationship with him, but then also using us as, vehicles for him to do good in ways on earth as well.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, twofold. So I think a lot of people where what they do is they chase like the dollar, and there's nothing wrong with being wealthy, but
Well, that would be rich, not wealthy.
true, rich. But they'll sit there and they'll chase it, and then, even if it's consumes them and they finally reach, whatever, a millionaire or billionaire, whatever they're trying to do, they realize the emptiness is there. If you're not really, if you're chasing something that, you're supposed to be doing and have a calling to do, and you're improving the lives of others, of course you're going to become wealthy through that. And that's a different kind of wealth than dollars,
Well, if you think about it, like, if you really think about it, is your purpose to buy a car? Like,
No.
is that your purpose? Is your purpose to buy a big house? Is your purpose, like, that can't be your purpose, right?
No.
I just posted something on my social media. It was just a little story that I read, and this guy was sitting on vacation, like fishing, spending time with his family, and he was fairly younger, and he was having a conversation with somebody else that was on vacation. And he's like, but you could do so much more. Like, instead of just, being early retired, you could teach people, you could mentor people, you could travel around, like, and do speaking seminars. I'm totally kiboshing, like, because I don't know it verbatim. But, and he said, well, then what? Like, then what do I do after that? He's like, well, then you could, like, fish and go on vacations and spend time with your family and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, well, what am I doing right now? Like, and I thought about that, and I'm like, it's so true. Like, if what you want the most is to have quality time with your family and watch them grow up and attend all their soccer games or whatever, and you're working too much, and I deal with this with my clients all the time, you're out of line with your priorities and your purpose.
Yeah.
If you feel like your purpose is to be with your family, then maybe you don't need the 5,000 square foot house. Maybe you could make do in a 2,500 square foot house, a cheaper living situation so that you have more time to actually do things with your family. Because so many people I talk to are like, oh, well, when I retire. Well, a third of the population doesn't make it past 65. So there might not be a retirement in your future. Yeah. Like, you might be gone, or your loved one might be gone. Because now you get two people that you're trying to make live past 65, and 1 in 3 dies. So statistics are not on your side. That's how I try and teach people how to be wealthy right now with wherever they are and whatever they're doing. Because, like, your purpose can't be to accumulate more square footage or like a faster vehicle or all that kind of stuff. If that stuff brings you joy because you're already meeting all of your other purposeful needs, then fantastic. But if you're working 80 hours a week to support your family that you never get to see, you might want to try and rearrange some stuff. I know so many spouses that because their husband works so much, they go out and they shop and they spend so much money. And then their husband or wife has to work even more to, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, if you just stop spending money, you could work less and then spend more time together. Like,
Yeah.
I've taught so many couples how to live on one income so that they could take care of their own children instead of putting them in a situation where they have to leave them every day.
Yeah. There's this one thing that I say all the time, but I said nobody ever lays on their deathbed wishing they worked more. Like,
No,
nobody.
gosh, no.
Nobody. It's always like, I wish I had, the time with this one, or they think about the relationships in their lives.
Traveling. A lot of people say traveling.
Stuff like that. Like, those are the things that people really, when push comes to shove, you can't take it with you. So, but what you can take is the love in your heart and the memories that you've created. And those stay forever. So I think that's really important. But also, I mean, you touched upon a lot of good things where I know so many people, they'll deep dive into work, like this whole workaholic thing where it's like they'll do that and they think they're being this really great provider when in all honesty, like, because I'm single, so I'll meet people on dating sites and they're like, I work a lot, or they're telling me all this and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a match. And they're like, but I make this much amount of money. I'm like, I don't care. Like if I have to eat dinner alone,
You can eat
5
dinner
nights a
alone
week.
single.
Yeah, I could do, yeah, I'd rather just have somebody that will be there. And, to me, it's not like how much money you bring to the table. It's how much of you do you bring to the table, and how much are you enriching my life? Like, I could drive a $30,000 car. I could drive a $300,000 car. It still gets me to A to B. In the end, it still takes 10 minutes to get to the grocery store, whatever. But if I'm always going every place alone or to me, that's not a life. Other people, and I know I lived in this very wealthy area up in Connecticut, and you had a lot of people that the husbands were working all these crazy hours and the wives would just get lonely and bored and they end up having like affairs.
Mm.
So you're doing all these things and like for what? Like,
Yeah, people have to think about what's my purpose. And I think, I don't know, the people that don't believe in God, I don't know, get right with God soon. Like, that's all I could tell. Because I think to myself, like, reading the Bible thoroughly, cover to cover, and knowing more about God helps me know more about my purpose, like what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I've led people back into reading the Bible and going to church and having a better relationship with God. And I see how much more joyful they are, how they don't feel as anxious or depressed, how their life is more fulfilled. And it's not because they won the lottery or because they made more money. It's because they have found like a relationship with their creator, and that has made all the difference.
Yeah.
So people think like, oh, if I make more money, like I'll be happier. Sometimes, like some problems there truly are. Like if my daughter won a certain amount of money right now and didn't have to pay her student loans, that would make her happy.
Yeah.
Right. But like it's a temporary happiness. Like finding the happiness and the joy and the purpose, I think to myself, like, what is my purpose? So clearly for me, my purpose is to raise my children and, and spend time with my family and procreate, which is one of God's first commandments for me. And then the second thing is to help people have that relationship that I have that fulfills my life.
Yeah.
Because everything else, when I'm on my deathbed, like you said, I'm not going to care about like my couch, how many couches I had. I did tell my son though, like, when you're old, you're not going to wish you played more video games. And he's like, I think I might. And I was like, that totally backfired on me. I don't know why why I thought that was going to work.
But I remember like when I was young, and this isn't something I told anybody, so I think I'll tell everyone now. Kind of awkward, but when I was young, I just had like a really bad childhood, and it was one of those that I felt very unloved for a very long time. And the thought of even having kids of my own, it wasn't something I ever wanted. And I felt partly because with the person that I was with is that it would make me it would break my heart if they would love the child more than me, or in a situation like I would be, I don't know, like we go to, I don't know, Disney World and it's 2 to a seat and they sit like something stupid, like it's ridiculous.
Irrational fear.
So it's totally ridiculous. But I just never wanted to have kids because I didn't want to have to share the love of the person I was with. And then after a while, like my love tank was full and I no longer had that thing. But the thing is, with my relationship with God, I've never had that. Like I always felt everybody should have this amazing, amazing relationship with God. Like it saddens me if people don't. You know what I mean?
It's like they're missing out on this big key to life.
And
they're wasting their time. Every day that you don't have it is feels like a day wasted.
Yeah. So if somebody describes like this amazing thing that happened with God or whatever, I'm just like, like I don't have that crazy fear that I had like in my youth about like kids or sharing or whatever. it's not that type of love. It's endless. So you don't have to worry about, it's not
You don't have
finite.
to worry
It's
about
not gonna,
sharing it.
yeah, it's not going to run out, and he doesn't love you any less. You know?
No, for all the mistakes we've made, it's shocking. But
Yeah.
really, my kids make mistakes and I don't love them any less. I mean, you do have irrational fears. Like after I had my first one, I did think for a hot second, like, what if I don't love the second one as much as the first one? Like, I mean, it's just irrational, right? But your body has like a tremendous capacity to love like your own children and your spouse and your family and your neighbors and the people you network with and your friends. Like I love Antoinette. Like, it has this amazing capacity. And if you're not using it, you really are missing out like on your purpose.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like everybody, but you should try and love everybody. There are some people that I find unlikable. It's just the way it is. I'm sure like, you know, if they were different and you're just not meant to like everybody. It's just the way it is. But you can still love them and wish the best for them. And I pray for people like I'm like, oh, I hope they find a relationship with God and they meet Jesus. And I know in the past I used to be like, I hope they meet Jesus soon. There's a whole nother- I don't think that's
like
nice.
there was a car crash today where they
Yeah, I don't think that's a nice thing to say. And then I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. And he forgives me, but I hope. But I really do think like, if you're looking for what your purpose is in life and you haven't looked to God,
Yeah.
you may never find it.
The other thing is, I just want to bring this up. Like, I knew this one girl who, I knew her from church, and she wasn't really a singer, but she ended up on the, the worship team. And then when she finally sang, like she never sang in public or whatever, so she just, got called to sing at church, and what it like literally the whole place was like, oh my God, it was like angels were singing when she opened her mouth. And it was one of those people like, oh my God, you should, think about getting a recording contract or whatever. And she's like, no, I don't want to sing any other place than for God. And that was her calling. That literally was something that God instilled in her. So it is one of those, she kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and she would resist. So you also got to think too, is there something on your heart that you feel compelled to do and your brain is putting a kibosh on it, where it might be something you'd be doing God's work through something he gave you, and it's your own brain telling you not to. So
Well, it might not even be your own brain. So this is my theory. And I tell, when I coach people, I tell them this. One of the hardest books to read is the Bible. It's one of the like most printed and the most sold, but it's the hardest book to read. Like sometimes I'm like, I want to read, and I could pick up just a nonfiction or a fiction book and easily read a chapter. But then sometimes when I go to pick up the Bible, there's just this like resistance. And I personally believe that Satan doesn't want you to read the Bible. And so he gets in the middle of you in the book. And so I think also when you think like, oh, well, I'm talented in this way, I should do this, then Satan brings in doubt. Like, well, you're not going to make enough money, and then you're not going to be able to support yourself. And what if you like fail and and all this other stuff? So I find when I experience resistance, I almost feel like I know I'm going in the right direction. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Satan's not going to stop me if I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to become an alcoholic. Satan's going to be like, yeah, you totally should. Like nobody's going to stop me.
Here's some coupons for vodka.
Yeah, he's not going to stop me from going to the liquor store. It's going to be BOGO that day or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to stop me from those things. But it's the things that in my life, and any successful person out there, even if you've had just a tiny success, you think like there was some resistance before you got the success. So when I see resistance, I'm like, oh, I must be on the right track because he is trying to stop me hard from doing what I'm supposed to do, And so that's how I feel about it. So like if you've had resistance picking up the Bible, I tell people it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Satan does not want you to have a relationship with God. He wants you to be uncertain and miserable and depressed and anxious and doubting your life and doubting the world and whatever. He doesn't want you to experience that happiness that Antoinette and I were talking about.
Yeah.
He wants you to be miserable because misery loves company and Satan loves company.
Yeah. I remember I had this like push to lead a small group in church. And it was one of those like my church in Connecticut, they were really big on that. They said we're not a church with small groups, but we're small groups that comprise a church because they really believed in the community and everybody knowing everybody. And sometimes the things you discuss in these groups, you just wouldn't have that conversation otherwise. They're deep, they're personal, and things that rip you at your core, you have a support group for. So it was something I was always pushed to do. And then I remember I had a specific topic that I was driven to do. And they used to have like coursework that you could, here's some printed materials and, there's courses around it. And I couldn't find anything like that spoke to what I wanted to do. So I told my pastor, I said, no, I think I'm going to write my own book. And he was like, well, I've never taught a small group. He's like, I highly don't recommend that. And I was like, yeah, that's advised, but I'm just going to do whatever. I ended up just doing it myself. And I ended up writing a book, and it was so divinely written. Like every week I'd be at my computer, like typing away, and I'd print it out, and then I'd hand out the new chapter for everybody. And everybody told me it was like one of the best groups they've ever joined. And it was almost epic. It was to the point where people's lives like literally changed. And they used some of the chapters. I know this one lady, she goes, I keep them in my glove box because anytime that somebody doesn't know the Lord, I use it as like teaching material, or I do stuff like that. And then it got to the point where like even my pastor was like using some things that I did in the book. And it was just, and it ended up being so even sometimes the resistance can come from like your own pastor. That doesn't mean it's not something you're meant to do.
Well, he's human, right?
Yeah.
So of course he might not believe in you, and
it just could be like,
I do want to read this book.
Yeah, I did. I wrote 2 books. So yeah.
It's not like I do not like Satan and his friends. I do not like green eggs and ham. It's not like that, right? It's like
you read it? It is on Amazon. No.
It's a very short book with pictures.
Yeah, no. But what I noticed when I went to small groups that they were flawed in ways. So again, this is the designer in me. So as a designer, you pick out what the problem is in any situation. Like I'm not a negative person in any way, shape, or form. I feel it's the exact opposite. I'm like, this would be so much better if X, Y, and Z. So that's what I did. When I saw a small group, I said, there's always that one person who never speaks up, or I saw all these things, and I wanted to create something that everybody was immersed in it and was able to form bonds and relationship with everybody in the group. And that's how I designed the program and the book and the whole thing. So at the end of it, we were like literally a family to this day where I've never had a small group like that where, people support each other and people moved away and they still keep all these it was amazing. It really was amazing. Yeah.
And the thing is that when you teach people, you actually learn more yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To me, I think I learned more than anybody else in that group. And it was just phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. And, if somebody, and it's funny because like my whole life, everyone's like, you got to write a book. And they mean like my life story. Cause if anyone knows me, I just have stories beyond stories that are just crazy. And I will do that one day, but I ended up just literally banging out these 2 books. And
because they had a purpose.
Exactly.
For other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Like, here's the thing is I tell people sometimes like, what is the harm in trying to develop a relationship with God? Like, it's not going to hurt you, right? It's not going to in some way like, and some people say, well, I don't want to come off like, what is it called? Like a Bible thumper or whatever and whatever. And, okay, like, so then don't. Like, well, maybe some people do, but nobody really starts off their journey in their relationship with God just becoming an evangelist.
Yeah.
Right? You can just do it in your home. Like, you could just start off small. It's not going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. But the resistance is real, and it's not your fault.
Yeah, I usually the reason I think people don't do it is they feel like they've screwed up too bad or they're too this, like they've done too many wrong things or, but it doesn't matter with God. Like he loves you just the same. And I knew this one guy who I met up in Connecticut who went to my church, and he had such an amazing heart. Same with his wife, and I remember he gave up and gave his testimony one day, and he just came from this horrible. He was homeless. He was like victimized and beat up and like into drugs and alcohol. And he said when he first would go to church, he said he felt too dirty to even enter the sanctuary, but he would just stand and try to listen from, and I'm like, and I knew him from the after.
Yeah.
And to me, he is one of the biggest, brightest hearts I've ever seen, that I'm like, oh my God, to think that he thought of himself as not worthy of being in the presence of God just makes me so sad, because God doesn't look at you that way. Like, Jesus died for you so that, he's the intercessor, that God sees you in your purest form, sinless and beautiful and all that stuff, to develop a relationship with you.
I know. And you know what? If a church has like put you off to religion or something like that.
Oh, that I hear a lot too.
Like people like, oh, well, I'm divorced, and I thought my church would support me, and they don't, or I'm gay, or I'm a lesbian, or whatever you're feeling as to why like a church didn't support you, just find another church.
Yeah.
Like, church is full of imperfect people trying to worship together. That's what you have to know. Like, it's not, you're not going to get a church full of Jesus. Like,
yeah.
You look left and you look right in the pews, like, you're not getting Jesus on your right, Jesus on your left. Like, he is there for sure to help you, but the people, they're all sinners, just like you.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you had a church or something like that strayed you away, also, I think, like,
the opposite is true too, where churches seem to be too progressive, where they don't uphold
God's law. Yeah, I know.
And that's another problem too. Like,
but
you don't want to find a church that condones your bad behavior. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that's not the solution either. But a church that loves you and accepts you just as you are. I mean, that's a different thing.
But even when you find that church, there are going to be people in that church that really make you upset. And you don't have to like them.
Yeah.
You have to love them all, but you don't have to like them, and you don't have to hang out with them, and you don't have to do anything like that. But our topic was like how to find your purpose. And if you don't like have a relationship with God, I just feel, it's my opinion, it's going to be very hard for you to find your purpose in life.
Yeah. You have to commune with him and talk with him and get to know him, and then, he'll lead you in the right way.
Yeah. And the voice that comes in your head is not going to be this big booming, like, grandfather clock kind of voice, whatever. It's just going to be your thoughts, but it's going to be thoughts that you don't want. Like, some of the thoughts,
or they come out of left field.
Or well, I'm not that intelligent to come up with those thoughts. Like, it's just weird. Like the conversation that I had in church like a couple weeks ago. Like, the instant thoughts that come into my head, I'm like, oh, like, wow, I have to be like, I feel like I'm communicating with God right now, because I wouldn't have. Why would I ask a question then answer it immediately?
Yeah.
If I already knew the answer, I wouldn't even ask the question in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a part of the problem too, is I think people aren't okay with quiet. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, hopefully God will bless me and God will bless you. You got to have that quiet time and allow him to talk to you. If all you do is talk at him and never listen, which I think a lot of people do.
Or maybe you're not meant to be blessed with what you think is good for you.
Yeah.
Like, maybe God didn't bless me with a Lamborghini because he knows I have a lead foot and I would kill myself.
But the other thing too is sometimes you're not blessed because you're not asking from the right place. Because I've seen that a lot, where in the end you might want the same thing, but when you realize your motivation, you were coming at it from a selfish rather than a selfless place. It could be the same thing in the end, but until you come to it with the right heart and motivation, it's not going to come.
Yeah, it's like when I ask God to give me patience, and then he gives me opportunities to be patient. That's my worst. That's my worst.
I think he's a really good sense of humor with all this stuff.
Well, we got to wrap it up. What's our next topic?
So, why am I drawing a blank? Wait, hold on.
Because this topic was so good that like we're all consumed now with trying to help people have a relationship with God, because it's the best.
Okay, now I remember.
Okay.
It was dealing with the loss of memory. No, it was
Dealing with loss.
it was dealing with loss. So both Laura and I have had very different but dramatic circumstances with close family members, close friends that have passed away. And people grieve differently. And there's a different process to working through that and coming back to a place where it's okay. You know
I mean,
what
technically, I'm an orphan. So if you're a billionaire and you're looking to adopt an adult child, I'm up for grabs. Just saying. No, but the loss of my parents, very difficult in two different ways. One
Yeah.
was an accident and one was older. And so somebody did ask me like which one was harder?
That's so difficult. They're just different.
I'm like, this conversation is the hardest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like even with my family, it was just, they're just all so different.
They're all so different. And every loss of a loved one is different, but we're going to try and tackle the topic next week.
Yeah. So join us. And until then, never stop laughing.
And never stop learning. We'll see you soon.
Things are truly better with us.